Hello all. Today we're going to talk about how you guys can use the Red Hat official lab or how you can log inside your Red Hat account specifically, right? To check the courses that we officially assigned. Correct. So now the very first process what we have that right, whenever you guys enroll for any training or exams specifically for the Red Hat. So you get a mail from the Red Hat. We are offering the same thing, right? I mean the mail and all, right? Beside this mail, we clearly mentions everything like how to join and all those things. But still, we are going to talk about like how you guys can use those things. The very first thing, what you guys need to, I'm just mentioning the point like how to use Red Hat official lab. You just mentioned that issues, right? And this is for all the courses. It's not about that any specific one courses, right? It's mentioned that this is for any your RH 199 or 94 or 280, 480, 280. This is for all the courses. This is our process, like you can correct. So the very first thing, right? What you can do that. So this is a proper URL. We just mentioned that you can simply log into tool.redhat.com. It's a Red Hat online learning. What you can do that, right? Okay, so what we can do that you can simply just to your terminal and simple type like role.redhat.com at the very first time, right? And then what you can mention that you need to simple provide your simple username and password, right? Whatever you created at the time of building your application, right? So once you put your username information, you get this kind of page, the very first thing, right? So whatever the courses you subscribe for, right, you can see under this code. See like my virtual training classes, correct? So you can see maybe if you go for the multiple courses, you can see that number of courses that inside here, correct? Let's suppose that here for this demonstration purposes, right? What we did that we simple have one lab here, right? Here you can see that like okay, so this is for Arch 199. Similarly, that could be for VO 280, 380, 480, 294, or maybe any 316 like virtualization. So that could be a multiple courses that may be offered here, right? So again, I'm mentioning that like whatever the courses that you told that you see here, correct? Now, the very first time once you have this one, right? Simple click on the join option, correct? Once you click on this join options, right? So the very first time, right, the systems are going to ask for your again like your name and email addresses on this notification. Simple click OK, right? And once you click OK, you get this option. The very first, correct? So see, I mean, for now we're not talking about like entering the classroom and all, right? What we have that we have like this overview section, we have this lab sections, and then we have this resources, correct? To enter the classroom, this is for the live classes specifically, right? We are not talking about those live classes here, right? What I'm just trying to walk through that, like how you guys can use this lab for the practice, right? The purpose what we have that again, we have this overview sections. Inside this overview sections, you get some small descriptions about these courses, whatever you enroll that. Let's suppose that this is for RH 199. You see, they mentioned for RH19 version 10, right? Similarly, for the S294 automation, then for the 280, lot of courses, whatever you have that, you get your instructor name officially here, right? The classes, start time, and the end, and then we just mentioned that the lab action. So this is only for information purpose, like for how long time, right? You guys can see this lab, right? And then you can perform this classes. This is again based on that information, like the number of days that lab is available. This lab efficiency and that the number of days lab is available. Correct. So this is the information that you guys can see that right in the overview sections. Correct. Now, once you click on this lab section, so here you can see your lab. Correct. So just for the information, right? Like we have this button, right? Like once we have this information, right? Like delete, stop, and all this. The very first time, right, just mention that once you are inside this lab section, we just mentioned that, correct? Inside that, yes, you can see that this button, right? The lab is running now, right? If you don't want to start it now, you can stop, right? Or let's assume that if something goes wrong, you need a fresh machine, you can simply delete it and recreate, right? We recommend that do not store any personal data inside this machine. So this number of machines can be varied depending on the courses and all, right? But the format remains same for all those courses, not about the single. Correct? So we just mentioned that these are like number of machines could be vary. I mean, it could be more, could be less and all based on that the courses that we just type that. Correct? Not an issue for now. Now here you guys can see the timer and all, right? So just for the information, you can simply click this button, right? Because if you're not going to, let's suppose there is going activities and all going inside that, right? The system's automatically going to stop this machines in this time. If you want to extend the time, simply click on this plus button, right? To extend your auto stop timer. And then the second one we have auto destroy. It means if the lab is not in active or somehow, right? So the systems is automatically going to delete entire lab. Correct? So this is the time. If you don't want to delete that, you can simply click on this plus button to increase the number of days. So this is up to you. We mentioned that like based on that information, yes, you can increase, decrease, whatever the information you can do. Simple information, right? To extend your lab availability. But you cannot extend more than that number of lab sessions in the time, in the day. This is simpler lab active status and all. Correct? Now, so to perform the task, right? So if you notice now under the workstation, you can have like, see, we have like multiple machines here. You can simply have this option, open console. So once you click after it's active, make sure that this machine must be in active state. It seems like in the stop state, simple, there is a button. After that, there is a button known as a start. You can start that, right? So now once you click on this, let's suppose I need to use this workstation. So click on this workstation console, correct? And once you console that, it will open in the new tab. Make sure that in your browser that pop-up must be allowed. Sometimes maybe it is possible for the same, but again we mentioned that actually should be allowed. We get this kind of message, right? But you can do that to use this lab. You can simply click on this add and see we have this similar machines like whatever you use here, correct? So we have this terminal. You can simply do whatever the task you want to do that and use that. Currently we have this machines, right, with some OS and all. You can use it. This is information, correct? So again, if you find difficulty to open that, make sure that somehow the pop-up is disabled. So make sure that that's this is one, correct? If it's not in use, we recommend that simple stop that. Let's suppose if you're not going to use that, maybe you're going to use next day or maybe take or not. We recommend that stop that line. Okay. So once you stop that, at the same time, all your machines are going to stop in state. Correct? Yes. So what we mentioned that like all the machines are going into stopping stage in a minute and all those things, right? And then once they stop successfully, you get a button like what? To start the line. That option is still available. Or start and stop. Correct? Again, I'm mentioning that if you find that maybe you made a mistake, you need a fresh machine somehow, what you can do that? You can simply click again. There is another options, right? You can, if you want in the action section, you guys can also start, stop, reboot the single machine. With also buttons are available. Correct? If you notice now, see, my systems are in the stopping state and some machines are already stopped. Let's suppose this workstation. See, the stop and then we cannot see that open console sections are available, right? We don't have the options are available. Correct? If you need, yes, you can start it manually. Correct? Or at the same time, you want to start all the machines, right? You have options like what? Start here. With you as well because the server is still in the active state. The system is trying to stop in that. Once it is stopped, right? Then we get a button like what? Here, start. Correct. So I mean, we have a like multiple options. You can start, stop those single machines, or there is a patch. We can say that you can simply click on this button to stop those in the one time, and you can also click the stop button. Okay, so see, it's almost stopped, right? And it's taking another like I believe 20 to 15 max to max, right? And then once this progressing are going to stop, then we can start it. This is the one. See, now we get this button to stop, right? Because all the motion successfully stop. Want to start it again at the same time? Click here, or you can simply click start single machine. So we recommend that simple click the start. Or let's suppose that if you want to delete this machine, simple click this delete button. See? So once you click the delete button, your entire data, work, whatever with that, everything will be deleted. correct? So once you delete, now we get a button here, we can say create lab again, correct? So what you guys can do that, see, so now we have these options are available. Now simple click create and see, once we get this create button, the system again, the lab in the backend, they are again try to create a backend lab for you, correct? And this take another like maximum 2 to 3 minutes to active your entire lab, correct? And then once it active, see again we get this button based on my requirement. I can simple extend my timer where I'm going to learn that, and I can also activate your, I mean, increase your uh, destroy timing. We can set it with the relation time. Correct. So see, the lab is the building state, and then again we're taking maximum 2 minutes. I will that's right, and then this is a simple test. And once it activate, you can simply click on this machine's open console, and then you get a system. Correct. Apart from that, training materials, the ebook, right? Once you scroll up, guys, once you scroll up, right, you can see that, and somehow we have a now, resource section, right? So under the resource section, if you notice now, we have a one button here, access books, right? Once we click on this access bookshelf, right? So Red Hat offer that kind of ebook, right, to learn you guys, correct? Like you have official ebook. So once you click on this access bookshelf, see, right? So they are going to open a new tab. Again, make sure that the pop-up must be allowed. If something sometimes they ask that, correct? And see, I can see that my new book, whatever the again courses that you subscribe, okay, and inside that is loading, right? So you can read this book in online state like anytime, just for the example and just for the information like you mentioned here, right? And here you can also check that like, okay, so the topics, and also see, I can see that ebook and all, you can switch it to full screen, multiple options are available, right? And see, so we have these books are available, right? You can click on this book anywhere anytime, and see, you can simple check that the details and all, and then based on that informations we will check this. Okay, now so we have this informations, right? Like you can read this book online, right? You can simply scroll down to get that. Want to check on the new pages, we have this next buttons are available. You can see another chapter. You have like chapter 10, chapter 9, right? Chapter 11 and all. You can want to back, see, right? So this is the things you can bookmark. I mean, they have a like features to bookmark and all that. Similarly, let's suppose you want to download this book offline. That let's suppose you don't want to use this portal always. I need a book offline that you can store inside your phone laptop. You see, there's a button download. Simple click on download and download as in PDF format. Simple click on the download as a PDF, right? The book are going to download it for you in your local system, and then you can use it anytime. Yes, based on your requirement. Correct. So this taking another like a minute, right? And right, and then it's downloading quickly inside your machine. Okay, so this is a step like you can download any book. Not any means we can say that the courses that you subscribe, right? And then based on that, yes, I can see that the information that we. Okay, so see, here we can download that and simply click on the save button. So the book are going to download it for you, and see, I can see that the one thing that we can download that. Okay. So overall, what I'm trying to mention that, so this is a process overall to download this, sorry, to use that lab, to see that what content you have that, you don't want to use that, maybe you want to stop that, simple click button, start, stop, whatever, correct? So let's suppose I don't want to use it now, I simply click it stop, and then maybe tomorrow or the next day I want to perform some task and all, I can make it again like a start. So for me, like I can start, stop, and I can start. So this is a simple process to check, to use the lab, to download the PDF you want, and then you can use it. Now, moving on the next point, right, like how you guys can schedule your exam, correct? Now, so see, to scheduling the exam, right, we have a few options. You can use that the remote exam or the test center, right? So the next point what we have that like how to schedule, right? I'm just trying to mention that schedule exam, correct? Now, the point what I'm trying to mention that, so we have a portal, I mean, the Red Hat Office portal. So it's a this portal, right? So this is a URL. We can say Red Hat apps, redhat.com. You can log into this portal with the same username and password. Once you log in over this portal, right, you can see that exam, right? Again, that you subscribe, right? So I'm going to refresh that. Okay, and this link is also mentioned inside the mail that you received. That see, right? So once you log in inside that, you can see that your courses, sorry, your exam validity, right? So the exam usually valid for this 65 days, correct? So what you can do with that, you can see that like okay, so we have this exam and all, right? And these are expiration date and all they mention that. And somehow if you schedule your exam, right, they mention that see this exam on 2026, we can say 17th of February 2026 at this date and time, correct? If you want to schedule just for the example, what you can do that you can simply click that, correct? And then by default this exam is scheduled, so that's why we get this option. Otherwise we directly have option for like what schedule, like how to simply click on this schedule button, so you get this kind of video just for the example. Inside that, right, you can select like, okay, I need to schedule the remote exam or test center, right? So yes, based on your locality, let's suppose that in your nearby, if you don't have any kind of centers and all, right, then you need to, I mean, if the center is not available, then obviously you go for the remote exam, right? Otherwise, what you can do that you can simply choose your locality. Just for the example, like, okay, so let's suppose that I'm inside India, correct? You can type the India and then you get that, right? Or if you know some test center as well, you can simply search for the test center, correct? You can simply click on their scheduling statement and see, you can see that the available date and time, right? Based on that, like, okay, so I need to schedule this. Okay. So they mentioned that, like, okay, so on this 11th of Feb and then 12th, the slot is available. You can schedule the exam. So on the same thing, you can put your phone number and all, you can schedule in that way. So this is the one day. This is the test center exam. For the remote exam, right, what you guys can do that, right? For the remote exam, you back again, correct? And here you can simple schedule that the remote. So let's suppose that I need to schedule. See the very first and you get this option. So let's suppose that in my locality, I don't have any test center. I need to do exam from my home, correct? I simply show the remote exam and then your exam versions. If you have like multiple versions, you give a multiple of version options. Or if you have like a single option, you can simple select. And now once you choose your type, then the exam versions, click on the remote, right? And then they ask me for the date and time. We can say the time zone and then the country. Let's suppose we are in India. I'm just choosing that Asia Kolkata and then I'm just choosing country and hit enter. So based on this availability, this is a remote exam. It means you need to give this exam from your home and see we have this slot are available. Correct? Yes, if you want to choose some another month, you can click on the same. I need to check another month and out. You can see that. So Red Hat is not going to conduct exam on Saturday and Sunday usually, right? Based on their time zone and all, right? So based on the time zone, we have this one. So the exam is basically for the Monday to Friday. The process, yes, like based on this exam, based on these details, you can. And once you schedule that, you get a proper mail like, okay, so this is my mail format, and then based on the details. So this is straightforward thing, right? Like how to use the lab and how to schedule the exam. Perfect. Yes.